Hi there, I'm Mariana, and welcome back to our history podcast. As you can listen to on our last episode, presented by Meli and Maria, medieval Britain was characterized, among other events, by wars, the rising of parliament, and rulers who were not meant to be. In this opportunity, we're still diving into Britain in the 14th century, and it's our pleasure to present a very special guest, Facundo Torres. He's an expert in medieval British history, and he will enlighten us in some key events that occurred during this period, such as the Black Death, the Peasants' Revolt, and some religious problems. So, without further ado, let me introduce you to this great historian. Welcome, Professor Torres. And don't worry, listeners, we won't spread the plague here, only knowledge.
Hello, everyone, and I really appreciate that introduction. I'm glad to be here to share some hints of this interesting period of time.
It's a pleasure. So, to start with, what was the impact of the Black Death on Britain? I mean, how did it affect the laborers, the ordinary people, and the landowners?
The Black Death reached Britain in 1348 and spread quickly, killing nearly half of the population. Imagine entire families wiped out. For ordinary people, it was, of course, a tragedy, but it also changed the balance of society. With so many workers gone, the survivors could demand higher wages and better working conditions. Laborers suddenly had more power than before. Landowners, on the other hand, suffered huge losses because their fields weren't cultivated and rents decreased. So, paradoxically, out of devastation came a shift in social and economic relations.
That really shows how deeply a disease can reshape society. Now, let's move to another dramatic event. Professor, why did the farmers revolt in 1381? Did they get any benefit from this?
The peasants' revolt was triggered by frustration. After the Black Death, peasants expected more freedom, but the government imposed strict laws to freeze wages and even added unfair poll taxes. People were angry and marched towards London. They wanted the end of serfdom and a fairer system. In the short term, the revolt failed. The king's promises were broken, and leaders like Wat Tyler were executed. But in the long term, it was important. The revolt showed that ordinary people could challenge authority, and the idea of freedom for peasants started to grow stronger, even if change came slowly.
So their demands planted a seed, even if they didn't get results immediately. Now, moving to the third key point. What were people's problems with the church at that time?
The church was extremely powerful, but many people started to question it. After the plague, some wondered why the church had failed to protect them spiritually. Others were upset about corruption, priests who live in comfort, the sale of indulgences, and the misuse of money. A man named John Wycliffe even suggested translating the Bible into English so that common people could read it instead of relying only on the clergy. These criticisms didn't bring down the church yet, but they opened the door for future reforms.
That was fascinating, Professor Torres. Today, we've learned how the Black Death, the Peasants' Revolt, and the problems with the church transformed 14th century Britain. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge.
Thank you for inviting me. It was a pleasure to discuss these crucial moments.
And that's all for today's episode. Thanks to everyone for listening. And remember, history may be full of revolts, plagues, and scandals. But at least you don't have to pay a medieval poll tax to enjoy this podcast. See you next time.